how to make the best use of your coach. I've been thinking of this. People ask me like, there is a book, How to Get the Most Out of Coaching. But this video is not about how to get the most out of your coaching. It's about how to make the best use of the coach, or how to get the most out of your coach. Then here's a perspective. How did you get the most out of your mother? How did you get the most out of your father? How did you get the most out of your friends? You did nothing. You did not have an agenda for that. Well, yes, if you want to make the best use of coaching, you definitely need to, have a clear plan on how you are going to make use of all the learning that you are going to get through your coach. But what I am talking today is about how to get the most out of your coach as a person. Now, this reminds me of the power of presence. And I'm here to talk about how you can actually learn much more than what you learn from the strategies, or what you learn from the practices that you're advised by, or what you learn by listening to your coach and focusing on those words. Then here's something that you must remember. The only way anybody learns or anybody gets the most out of anybody is through presence. Please focus on being available to that person. Please focus on being available, being present to that person. Years ago, I was staying as a monk in Sri Ramakrishna Mutt, Hyderabad, and I was initiated by the then world president Swami Ranganathanand. And people, when they ask me, oh, what did you learn from him? He was such a great, saint, and he was such a spiritually evolved person. What did you learn from them? Well, I traveled with dozens of masters, and the best thing that has helped me evolve as a person is not what I learned either from their words or from what they taught me, but the best learning happened when I was completely surrendered to their presence. And this reminds me of another book or workshop that I don't remember. Years ago, I think I attended a workshop or a book that I read, but the message got embedded in me, and it was shut up and listen. And this again, I got reminded from my coach Steve Hardison, when he said during our conversations when I was creating the best ever international being summit in India. He coached me on the distinction of listening for agreement and disagreement, and listening for experience. And this was the most powerful moment for me. See, I got the most out of the people, of all my gurus, of all my teachers, or of my parents, of my friends, of my guides, of my everybody who has supported me in my life. Not just from what they taught me, or not just by having an agenda for all our conversations, but it was actually through those moments when I completely surrendered to their presence. I was available to them. I was available to who he was being in the moment. Whether it was my Guru Swami Ranganathananda, or whether it was my Guru Sri Sharvariji, or whether it was my trainers who taught me, gurus who taught me in Reiki healing, pranic healing, and crystal therapy, and everything that I did years ago. Now, this is the same message that I want you to focus on. Do you remember, as a child, the only language that you were communicating with your mother through was the language of presence? Your mother might have been speaking to you, but you did not have that language in your brain as yet. So how do you think you were feeling? You were missing her the moment your mother would leave you somewhere. How would you even recognize her? It was through her presence. It was through the feelings that you got, and it was through that invisible language of the presence that dominates this universe. So, somebody was talking to me this afternoon, and I told him that develop a love to travel with people. And you learn a lot when you travel with people. You learn a lot through their presence. You learn a lot by just absorbing their presence, and just being available to how they are making themselves be present in the moment, and who are they being in the moment, and what do you think is happening inside them that they are creating these results and they are speaking? And for all this to happen, the most important skill that you need to develop, or probably the most important commitment that you need to have, is to shut up and listen. Please don't argue. You agree or disagree, that holds you back at an intellectual level. And this is the biggest filter or a screen that we use to distract us from the presence. We start arguing with that present. I mean, with the words that are being spoken, instead of being available to the essence of what that person is speaking and who is that person behind those words. That is what matters more than what is being spoken. The spoken word has its own power. People, I teach people in my workshops on the power of affirmations and how do you create it, but there is a lot of work that goes before you even come to the level of affirmations. So words do have power. Words create, your language creates your reality. All that is good, but presence is also our language. Please understand, unless you are objecting or you are blocking that path of presence, and mostly we do it by trying to catch those words, and you forget that you are the one who's making meaning out of those words. And instead of that, if you just be available to that person, you definitely will know who is that person behind those words, and then your essence, your core identity will be given enough opportunity to absorb the presence of that person, to understand the core identity of that person, and then your gut feeling will let you know what you need to do next. But for all this to happen, you need to be available, you need to be present, you need to stop intellectualizing what you are listening and just be available. And of course, you know a lot about many things, but I've written this in my book, Hit Your Restart Button, How to Reinvent Yourself and Start Living a Zero Limits Life. And I wrote that there is a domain of I don't know what I don't know. So do not always try to come from a domain of I know, or probably I know what I don't know, but there is that third dimension of not knowingness. You don't know what you don't know. And that is only available when you are present to the person, when you are fully available there, when you don't have agendas running in your mind, when you are not trying to catch those words and make your own meaning and attribute your own judgments and then deducting something out of that and then deciding that I agree or I don't agree with this thing. Probably you are holding yourself back from the essence of that person. And when you are missing on the essence of that person, then you say, oh, he said that, but he did not do it. He said that, but he did not. Of course, he was also, the moment he was actually saying, I'll do this, let's do this. At a certain point when you feel that he did not stand by his word or he did not do it, you could have known that he is not going to do it or he's not going to stick to his promises when you could have been available to that person in that moment, because he was also communicating with that energy, but you were not focusing on that. You were not available to that energy of lack of commitment. You were available to the words only, and you were limiting your access to that person's presence. You were limiting your own access to experience the beingness of that person, and maybe you were manufacturing your own meaning, and then today you say he did not stand by his commitment, he did not stand by his promises, because you could have known that earlier. You could have decided that, you could have then decided, should I travel with this person or should I not travel with this person? But then you were not available. So you decided, okay, let me listen. So he said that he will do that. Who are you to say that? Basically, it is not about blaming someone. Of course, if it is somebody to blame, it's you. Because and I'm not saying blame yourself, I'm saying take full responsibility of who are you being in the moment. And similar is the case if you have somebody, whether it's a coach or a teacher or a guru or everybody that you can learn from. Probably the only thing that you need to do is please travel with them. And the best way to get the most out of any coach is, please put your agendas only for coaching, but not the overall holistic learning that you are going to get from being in the presence of that person who has evolved to a certain level, and who really interests you, and who is drawing you, and you have some feeling, you feel that, okay, I need to learn from this person. But there is something that you need before learning, and that is a commitment to surrender to the presence of that person. And then you will start learning much more than the words that a person speaks. Probably the person might not speak anything. What did, if you look back at the long journey of Swami Vivekananda that he had with Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was not lecturing all the while, but Swami Vivekananda learned tons and tons, and the transformation in him happened, the evolution in him happened, not just because what Swami Vivekananda learned through words of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, but what he learned or what he absorbed and transformed into because of the moments that he spent in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So if you really want to evolve, if you really want to grow, if you really want to transform yourself, please consider being totally present to your coach. Be available in the presence. Shut up and just listen. And don't listen for agreement or disagreement. Please listen. Listen like you listen to the music in this world. Please listen the way you are present to this entire universe. And you are going to, that is where magical transformations happen. That is where magical evolutions happen. And that is where miracles happen. You might not understand, you might not know what you are learning in the moment. But what is happening by you being available to that evolved personality is that the transformation starts happening at a cellular level, at a molecular level. You start changing because that's an automatic process, and that is happening because you suddenly surrendered to the universal will, and now the universe knows how to handle you like a baby. The universe, you have given that access to the universe to be your mother, and that is when you get a motherly love from the universe, and you surrender in the lap of the mother the way you did when you surrendered like a small baby in the lap of your mother. And that is when miracles start happening, and that is the only way you can get the most out of your coaches. And it's up to you to decide. Explore that. Let this thinking settle in you, and get the most out of your coaches by being present. Shut up and listen, and you experience the essence of that person more than what you learn from his words, or probably his actions, or probably even the skills that he's going to impart you. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye-bye.